Hey fellow tennis nerds, today we do a little bit of a different video instead of talking about rackets, which is what we do a lot, and there are many exciting reviews to come of the new Radical bolt rackets and all that stuff. First impressions as always on patreon.com/tennisnerd, don't forget about that. But today I got some requests about breaking down the Australian Open draw, and for every slam we put a bit of extra attention on this channel, although it's not like a prediction channel or anything like this. But I feel like the slams we need to get into the weeds a bit and look at the predictions and the draw. I've also done that together with my buddy Dennis on the Tennis Nerd podcast, which will also be out by the time you see this, so you can listen to a little bit of a longer version of the draw stuff. All right, so we can start with the men's side of things. We have the first quarter. Best way to break them down into quarters. Rafa Nadal started so-so in the United Cup. He lost 2 matches, although he did win the first set, so that's a good sign. He has since gone back to his original cosmetic of the racket. We'll see if that makes any difference. He likes to keep things in order and in check, but he didn't get the best of draws. He has a pretty tough one. Jack Draper. If he beats Jack Draper, who's a very talented British guy, he will have to play either Brandon Nakashima or Mackenzie McDonald, so it's not like an easy start. And then it gets harder as we go along. So the question is, can he get through that first round? I think if he gets through the first round and he gets himself into form, Rafa is always a contender. However, both Dennis and I, we agreed that it's not likely that he will go through more than 1 or 2 rounds this year. So we're not really trusting Rafa this time around. Instead, we went with Medvedev, who has been in the final 2 years in a row, lost both of them, Rafa and Novak. So the question is if he can go all the way this year. I think he will get far, but not all the way. He will get to the quarterfinals in this draw, in this quarter. Then we actually both liked Frances Tiafoe's chances. I mean, he's a player that puts a smile on your face, and he's also improved quite drastically in 2022. So hopefully he may make big things happen. Some warning signs, as always, for Sebastian Korda or Denis Shapovalov, for example. If they can string together a few wins and a good tournament, they are dangerous, but I think Medvedev will get through them anyway. Quarter 2, we have Tsitsipas on the top, Aliassime on the bottom of the draw. Who will go through? We also have the dangerous Cameron Norrie, who's playing very, very solidly. He has not yet lost when I'm talking to you in 2023, so it's a good start. He's feeling it. Jannik Sinner, where is his form? Faded a bit at the end of 2022, but he should be getting through some rounds here as well. And Wawrinka, if he can beat Molchan, is a dangerous opponent for Aliassime. For quarter 2, we went with Tsitsipas and Norrie in the end, Norrie being the ultra-stable competitor that he has become. And Tsitsipas is always dangerous, but he can also have these tournaments where he's going out quickly, so it's a little bit of a warning sign there. I'm not sure about Tsitsipas, but we went with that anyway, and no super gutsy predictions here, as you can hear. Quarter 3, blockbuster first round, Andrew Rublev, Dominic Thiem. That's gonna be a big one. Can Thiem beat Rublev? I think it's possible if he can get into a groove early in the match. If he starts badly, I think it will be tough to come back in 5 sets, but he has a chance there. Other exciting names in this part of the draw is Nick Kyrgios, of course, Dan Evans, I like watching him, Holger Rune, the big breakout star of 2022, along with Alcaraz, of course, who is not playing here. That's good to keep in mind. He's injured, sadly. We have Djokovic, who has a great draw. That's why I don't see him having any problems. Carvalles Baena first round is like a dream first round. And no offense, Roberto. And then Hugo Dellien, I think it's gonna be a good Australian Open for Novak Djokovic. In the end, we went for Djokovic and Rune to come through here, reach the quarterfinals. Nick Kyrgios is always a question mark. If he's on form, he can beat anyone, of course, but we still doubt him to go all the way against guys like Holger Rune, for example. Quarter 4, Taylor Fritz is the big name there, along with Casper Ruud, Zverev, but Zverev is just coming back from long-time injury. Berrettini, big game and big match first round against Andy Murray. Can Murray make it difficult? Dennis thought that Berrettini would just trash him here. I tend to agree that it will be a win for Berrettini, but maybe not as easy as that. Kokkinakis is playing exceptionally well early on, like he did last year. in Adelaide, but can he beat Fabio Fognini? Yes, I think so. Fognini is maybe doing his last year on tour. He had a pretty rough 2022, more kids in the family. His focus is probably elsewhere. A rough first-round opponent in many ways for Taylor Fritz as well, who won the United Cup, seems to be in great form, had a great last year, but Basilashvili is a tough opponent. He hits so hard, he like pelts at the ball, so that can be a tricky one. Also, Alexei Poprin, big hitter, new racket, going heavily this year. Ben Shelton also dangerous. So in the end, we went for Fritz and Ruud. I was a little bit more leaning towards Berrettini, but I think, yeah, Ruud can get there in the end as the second seed, but we will see. And I'm keen to hear your opinions. So let's look at the quarterfinals on the men's side. Our predicted quarterfinals is Medvedev, Tiafoe, and we believe that Medvedev will go through that one. Tsitsipas, Aliasim. We see Aliasim. If he gets this far, he will be too strong for Tsitsipas. Rune Djokovic, great match, but Djokovic this year, I think he has something to prove after not being able to play last year, so I think he will be ultra difficult. Fritz versus Ruud. Taylor Fritz has shown great form, and I think he will keep doing that even against a top competitor such as Ruud. So we ended up with semifinals, Medvedev versus Aliasim. That's a tough one, but Medvedev, he plays well here. If he gets this far, he will be in super confident, so we picked him. And Djokovic will beat Fritz. And then Medvedev-Djokovic again in the final. I think Djokovic will win his 22nd Grand Slam. He just looked very good in the first week. It's so difficult to pick something else than Djokovic when he's playing well and fit. So yeah, we'll see what happens when the tournament kicks off. But yeah, that's our prediction. Djokovic to win and Medvedev in the final. Should we go bigger? Let me know what you think yourself. Like, who do you think will win on the men's side? Women's draw, first quarter. Iga Swiatek, she is the best player in the world, and quite with some margin. She did lose to Pegula in the United Cup, so that can throw a spanner in the works perhaps. But for this draw, she alongside Coco Gauff was our prediction to go through. There are some very dangerous players here. We have Rybakina, we have Andreescu, not even seeded, Paula Badosa, Daniel Collins, big time player, Ostapenko if she plays well, but she doesn't look super fit, to be honest. Emma Raducanu as well, if she manages to overcome, she has some slight ankle injury, I think it will be tough for her. So in the end, we went with Swiatek and Coco Gauff from quarter number 1. Quarter number 2, Jessica Pegula, Maria Sakkari, they are strong predictions. Kvitova is always dangerous, as is Madison Keys, who hits a huge ball. You can never count out Azarenka either. Not quite as strong as the other one, with more lucky losers. We have Ayla Tomjanovic, not even seeded, which is feels a bit strange here. But in the end, we went for Pegula and Sakkari in the end. I was leaning towards Keys when we did our podcast, but yeah, I think Sakkari is a good shout. She loves playing down under, and yeah, fit as a fiddle. So I think that's not a bad prediction. Yeah, I would put a little bit of a warning sign for Ayla Tomjanovic as well, but it's a tricky one. Quarter 3, we have Kasatkina, Pliskova, we have Kontaveit, Alexandrova, and our favorite here, Caroline Garcia. We should also put a little bit of an exclamation mark towards Leila Fernandez, reached the final last year and the US Open, but she has a tough first round. Alice Cornet, who's always difficult in the slams. Garcia is a favorite, so she will go through. And I went for Pliskova. Dennis thought Kasatkina. Let's put Kasatkina in there. I'm not sure about Pliskova. She was here training, looked good here in Marbella, so I just felt like I'd go with that. Interesting first round match between two wild cards, Taylor Townsend and Diane Parry. Would look at that match. That could be fascinating with different styles and beautiful one-handed backhand. So that would be a fun match to follow. We go to quarter number 4, Sabalenka doing really well the week before, and there should be a strong prediction here. Ons Jabeur, second seed, definitely dangerous. We have a few dangerous players. Sloane Stephens unseeded, Donna Vekic unseeded, Belinda Bencic deserves some credit as well. Beatriz Haddad Maia, yeah, there's some definitely strong players in this draw. Linda Fruvertova from the Czech Republic, very dangerous young player. It's very tough to predict. In the end, I went for Bencic and Jabeur. Dennis thought Sabalenka and Jabeur, and I think Sabalenka with her form, I think he can have that one. Which leads us to the quarterfinals of the women's draw. Swiatek versus Gauff. We will go with Swiatek there. She should be ready for the title in many ways, but someone might stumble her on the way. Pegula versus Sakkari. I think Pegula is in great shape. I think she can take that one. We have Kasatkina versus Garcia. Garcia should be the stronger card in that quarterfinal. And we have Sabalenka versus Jabeur. And we'd end up with Sabalenka there. So semifinals, Swiatek, Pegula, Garcia, Sabalenka. Tough matches. Pegula beating Swiatek in the United Cup, that could be a sign that she's ready for the big time, and so we predicted her to go to the final, beating Swiatek in the semis, Garcia beating Sabalenka, and Caroline Garcia winning the title. So Garcia and Djokovic are title winners in our predictions. So these are our thoughts that we went through, and we were pretty aligned after discussing tennis for quite a while on the podcast. Obviously, you start seeing some patterns. There are obviously huge chances for upsets and things that can derail this path, but obviously you have to do some kind of prediction, and I'm keen to hear about your predictions. Who do you think will win on men's and women's side? What do you think of the predictions from this video? And if you want more in-depth, you check out the podcast, Tennis Nerd Podcast. That's it, a little bit of a different video today. Back to more tennis racket, tennis nerdy stuff in the coming days. Until then, have a nice day, and don't forget to play some tennis.